Hello everybody and welcome to the Boxing Locker. I am Matt Goddard, former professional boxer, now a boxing coach. And today in this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about sparring, okay? The good, the bad and the ugly, as the title of the video is. Sparring, the good, the bad and the ugly, okay? Now, sparring is a popular topic of conversation on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and in boxing gyms globally, all right? It's a contentious subject. Do we light spar, hard spar, tech spar, drill spar? Do we body spar? And you see it used in so many different ways, in so many different gyms, and the importance of it spoken about by different coaches at different levels, okay? So, sparring. Now, I would say primarily what we have to think about is when sparring is important, why sparring is important, and what type of sparring is important in each of those situations, okay? So sparring is important because it is the nearest thing that you will get to an actual fight, okay? Now, if you're boxing for the sake of fun, for fitness, just to learn a new skill, you do not need to be hard sparring. It does not have to be hard sparring at all, okay? There's so much talk now, so much information and studies showing giving you details and showing you all about CTE and the impacts of CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, on your brain and the impact that can have on your neuro function, on your brain power, on your alertness, on your risk of serious disease and illness as you get older. So many things that it impacts, okay? So unless you are doing this for a job or for a future career, there is absolutely no reason why you should be doing hard sparring, okay? That doesn't mean you don't spar. Light spar, touch sparring, tech sparring, all good. Specific drill sparring, all good. Body sparring, all good. There's absolutely no reason for you to be getting hit in the head as hard as your opponent can possibly hit you. No value to it whatsoever. It will not help you in the long run. You might get a bit sharp with your boxing, but the reality of that situation is you'll be sacrificing a lot just to get that little bit sharper, okay? There seems to be a lot of birds around this morning that are making a ton of noise, so I'm sorry about that one, but I am recording this video at 7:35 a.m, so the birds are all just waking up, I guess. Anyway, so sparring. If you're not competing, if you're not doing this as a career, there is no value in you hard sparring. Now, this is really important, okay? You have to, in my opinion, spar hard at some point and with some level of consistency to box and compete to any reasonable standard. Now, the frequency of which you do that hard sparring should differ, right? You know, for example, if I don't have a fight lined up, I don't need to be hard sparring constantly all the time. Again, all of this is my opinion and what I think and what I've learned. You can stay sharp, stay aware, work on other specifics like just defensive sparring, drill sparring, tech sparring, body sparring. Keep yourself sharp, keep your eye in, keep focused on what you're working on, work on technical aspects and improve those before you get back to hard sparring. Can you compete to a high standard without hard sparring? I don't think so. I think you will be at a deficit, you will be slower, you will be less reactive. You may be more energized, you may have more energy and resistance left in your body. You may have more resilience to punches because you're not taking them so much, but equally that argument could be turned over the other way because you're not used to punches coming at you. You can't ride them so well. You don't have the same reaction times. And you're not used to people throwing with intent, so it tires you out more because you're getting hit with a barrage of punches that the guy's trying to take your head off or the girl's trying to take your head off. So it's a toss-up, that one, but in my opinion, hard sparring should be kept for when competition is lined up. Now, if you're competing at an amateur level with an intent to turn professional, regular hard sparring once a week is enough for you because you may be boxing every weekend and you can consider those fights as your experience, your growth, that keeps you sharp, that keeps the ring rust off. So once a week, ideally early in the week, so you have recovery time prior to boxing at a weekend. A lot of amateurs, a lot of high-level amateurs are boxing every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, or in competitions 3 or 4 times at a weekend. So you don't want to be hard sparring every day in the build up to that. You'll get in there and you'll be gassed out. You'll be used up before you've ever got in the ring. So at that level, once a week. Now, when we look to a kind of professional environment, my belief is that the frequency should increase. Early on in camp, you want to be sparring quite a lot. I would say, in my opinion, you want to be sparring hard once or twice a week, sparring technical once or twice a week as well. So you're getting 3 or 4 sessions in, too hard, too easy. And that kind of breaks down your ability to improve, because you do a hard spar and then you spar tech so that you can work on the things you did wrong, and then repeat the process with a rest in between to work, not a rest from training, a rest from sparring, to give yourself a bit of recovery time, and then you go again. When we talk about sparring, you see these sparring videos all the time of guys getting put to sleep, beat up, hurt, injured. For me, that's not hard sparring, that's excessive sparring. There's a difference, okay? You can spar hard and you can be aware of there being no point to what you're doing. So if I'm in here sparring with somebody, I'm going whack, 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 and every shot is hitting them hard and they're wobbling, their legs going. There's not really any value in that for me. I'm not growing as a fighter by doing that. And they're definitely not getting any better. So at that point, it's my belief that people shouldn't be getting knocked out in sparring unless it's a flash knockout. These things happen, a slip, whap, then I'll give him time to recover. That, for me, that would be the end of the spar. If I was the coach, I would say, the knocked out person, get out of the ring, check their recovery, perhaps get them to the hospital and get them assessed for concussion, all of these factors, and then try and get a different sparring partner and get some more rounds in, or jump on the mitts or do some tech sparring. Get away from those kind of putting people to sleep guys as much as possible. If I'm sparring and I'm beating somebody up, I'm going to be saying to the coach, I'm not getting anything out of this, coach. This is too easy. I'm hurting this guy. I don't think I'm doing any favors. Can we get a different opponent in, somebody a bit more challenging? Or can we just jump on the mitts and work on something else? You shouldn't really have to say that to your coach. Your coach should know that. You don't want to just be whooping guys every time in sparring. You want challenges. You want to work against bigger guys, work against different styles, work against people that are your level or above as much as possible. That's the only way to progress. If you're working against guys that are a lower level than you, that's when we tech spar. That's when we light spar. That's when we body spar, okay? You use that to develop yourself in a more technical direction, as opposed to just beating the bejesus out of some guy that doesn't really have the wherewithal or the abilities to deal with what you're offering. As I said, I'm all for hard sparring. I'm not for excessive sparring. There's no need for sheer violence in a boxing gym where everyone's there to try and improve, to train, to grow, to develop their skill set. That being said, if you're sparring somebody from another gym, another gym is coming to you, you have to treat that like competition. Again, that doesn't mean we're looking to knock people out or have it so easy that I'm just whooping somebody's butt and it's doing them no good. You need to treat it like a much more competitive fight per se, and rely on your coaching team to monitor and mediate the level of control, so that it's not excessive and so that both fighters have an opportunity to grow. So light sparring, tech sparring, all for it as much as possible. Everything nice and light, touch sparring, working on your slipping, your head movement, your rolling, having fun, developing your style, working on them reflexes, keeping everything nice and light but fast. It doesn't have to be hard. Roll, slip, all that good stuff. Working on all your skills, trying new things. I might want to box on my toes a bit, see how I look coming on my toes. I might want to get my hands up, try and catch and counter. We don't want to be taking loads of big shots all the time, you know. You look at somebody like James Toney, who hard sparred all his life, probably one of the best defensive boxers ever, probably one of the best boxers ever in my opinion. He's certainly one of my favourites. But slurred speech, and he struggles to kind of compose sentences. I think it's a similar thing happened with Muhammad Ali, and that's probably intrinsically linked to the Parkinson's. Take a lot of heavy impacts to the head. It's just not good for you. Like your brain is not made to be shook about like that, to be wobbled about like that. And it doesn't matter whether you're the greatest boxer in the world, if you're absorbing impact all the time, progressively that's going to diminish your capabilities, which is a sad thing to see, and it certainly reflects negatively on the sport. That being said, please watch James Toney, because potentially the best defensive in-fighter in the history of the game. Unbelievable defense, skill set, all developed from that hard sparring. So, you know, it's finding that kind of balance between going hard and going so hard that you're mashing yourself up and you're ruining the rest of your life or the rest of your career. The Kronk gym, they sparred hard, a lot of sparring. Manny Stewart, one of the greatest coaches of all time, he advocated it. I don't know how frequently they sparred within that though, whether it was once or twice a week, whether they were sparring 3-4 days. I'm not aware of that, so if anyone does know, let me know in the comments. And then you have other gyms where they do a lot more focus on different things, like the Winkerbank gym with Brendan Ingle, a lot less head sparring, a lot more focus on body sparring, and working on just staying mobile and using your natural kind of skill set and speed. Trained a lot of world champions. Quite unique in that aspect though, because generally most gyms there is sparring to an extent of hard sparring. It's difficult to find examples outside of that where hard sparring wasn't a primary part of the training and the development. But again, safety in boxing, you know, you're seeing lots of names coming out now, where old boxers are struggling, where they've got brain issues, where they've got developmental issues as they progress into later years. You're seeing a lot of guys hurt in fights. At the weekend, we had a really sad event with a guy being put in an induced coma because he was in a tough fight, getting hit hard, not quite hard enough to knock him out, hard enough to hurt him, hard enough to rattle his brain, and it's really sad to see. And obviously, everybody in the boxing world knows what I'm talking about, and their thoughts, and then my thoughts are with him. Fingers crossed he pulls through and is unharmed as a result of it. So anyway, that's sparring for you. Warbled on a little bit at the end there, sorry, but that's my thoughts. Always controlled, even when it's hard sparring, always reducing the deadly kind of impact of it. If you're seeing people get beat up, stop the spar. There's no value to it. You let it run for a little bit, give them a chance to come back. You know, 30 seconds. If someone's getting whooped, end the round, give them another, talk to them, give them another chance in the next round. If it starts off the same way, cut the round short. You don't need people getting knocked out and put to sleep on the regular basis in the gym. But how you break it down, the volume with which you use that hard sparring, that's down to you and your coaches. I would say don't overuse it, but use it to stay sharp, get sharp. Loads of sparring. Sparring is excellent. It doesn't all have to be hard. Some of it should be 100%. If you're planning to compete for a career, 100% you should be sparring hard at some point. Okay, you need to be doing that. You cannot compete in boxing if you don't ever hard spar, or if you're not competing on a regular basis, week in, week out, to develop that same level of sharpness, alertness, awareness, ring craft that only comes with working at 100% level. There we have it, guys. That's my opinion. Thank you for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts. Anything that I said, comment about below. I appreciate you taking the time to watch. A couple of bits of that were a bit babbly, but thank you anyway. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and don't forget to check out the rest of my videos. Have a wicked day. Thanks for watching.